Hello. Today's video is about the back and why it happens to explode sometimes. When I mean explode, I mean blow up, hurt. I can't move because my back hurts so bad. It happens to me from time to time, and I always know why, and it's never scary. And for some people, it can be very scary when your back blows up, depending on where you are in the spectrum of fitness, like how long have you been doing it for. And also, there are different variations of why this is happening. It's almost workout dependent. So there is always the caveat that what I say does not apply. The example being, let's say you're doing a real heavy deadlift and you hear a that's no good. This advice does not apply to that. Now, let's say you were doing 200 kettlebell swings in a workout. That's more or less kind of where my explanation here is going to speak to you. So, you were born, right? You were born, you got a skeleton, you got organs, you got muscles that make your skeleton move around under the skin in there, all right? So, the only way I can do this is because there are muscles down here pulling on the tendons in here that allow my fingers to do this. And there is some portion of that everywhere in your body. Now, your biceps, they're up here. You know, they do this all the time. You use your arms all day. So over the course of your life, you have built up the relatively mechanism to pump blood through that. And I made a post recently about blood flow restriction training and how you can actually utilize that to incur growth at minimal loads. The method in which you do that involves cutting that off so that you're limiting the amount of blood that can go through there, because the biceps and a lot of muscles that you do use frequently throughout the life that you've lived are efficient at pumping blood through them. Now, they're also supposed to do that. So when you were born, that muscle is supposed to flex and extend, contract, concentric and eccentric motion. Now, it can also work isometrically. So if you wanted to hold something down here, it can do that. It's a good way to train it as well. It's good for tendon strength and ligament strength. Now, there are muscles in your body that are not meant to work the same way that your biceps work. Now, they all can do that, but the extent or degree they're supposed to do that varies. The muscles around your midsection, there are ones that are meant to flex and extend. There are some that are meant to twist side to side, and you're supposed to train all those things. There are some that are meant to act isometrically, so you can hold on to something, and you're training like a plank even, just think. So you don't need to hold anything up here, but you can hit a plank, and you're working your stomach isometrically. Same thing goes on the backside. Now, the muscles of the back are not supposed to flex and extend under extreme load unless you've trained it to do so. And if you haven't trained it to do so, or if you're detrained in it, that's when you're going to experience that exploding feeling, that burning, that, oh my God, I can't bend over type of feeling. That can also be made even worse if you're throwing some twisting. So I'm thinking like single arm dumbbell clean and jerk, single arm snatches, kettlebell swings, where you're not just going forwards and backwards, but you're also twisting to do so, and that's going to make it even worse. So not only is your back not acting isometrically and just staying there, so think about an air squat. When you're doing an air squat, you're just going up and down. When you're doing a deadlift, you're pushing your hips forwards and backwards, and the back stays relatively flat. Now, if you're putting in any sort of twisting into the lower back, every single time that you do that twist, you're getting a little eccentric and concentric motion. You're turning your back into a pump, and it's not an efficient pump, because when you walk around all day, you're not flexing, extending, you're not picking things up, you're not squeezing, you're not using it the same way you would use your bicep your whole life. Now, all of a sudden, here comes this workout, a 10-minute, say, workout, where you're doing, 50 snatches on one side and 50 snatches on the other side, and you're asking a lot of the back that hasn't been doing this its whole life to do all these flexion extension type exercises. So what happens is it's like trying to pump all this blood in and out. It goes, all right, this is new, here we go, but it can't. So it's a balloon, and it's just filling with blood. It's filling, and there are people who kind of fight through this. They're very tough, and what you'll notice is they have pretty good muscular growth, hypertrophy, in their lumbar erectors. They turn around and they look like shark fins up and down the side. So if this is their spine, they've got pretty good muscular development on either side of their spine. And it's almost in relation to what I told you about the bicep, the blood flow restriction. You do that because it's a good method to get some growth. Because there's a huge pump going on in your back, it's freaking out. And the freaking out causes a little bit of hypertrophy. So I compare this as well to wrestlers who have cauliflower ear. And I was a wrestler, and I got some cauliflower ear on this tart up here. You trauma to the ear. You get smacked in the freaking ear, and then blood will rush to the area. Now your ear has absolutely no method to pump that blood out. So what happens is it hurts like crazy. It gets really hot. Your ear hurts. It's like, God, I got hit in the ear. And if you don't get the blood out, it's just going to harden because there's no way for it to get out. In the spectrum of things, it's not a muscle, it's just an ear, cartilage and whatnot. Gets hard. This is very efficient at getting blood out. It's a balloon, and just say like you can pop it and all the blood comes out of it. So, if it hurts, it doesn't hurt for very long. Your back is more towards the spectrum of the ear, where it's going to come out, but it's more like a gas leak, where it's like, oh, I can smell something. I don't know what's going on. And it's just going to keep on coming out. And it could take you 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes for it to relieve. And it could be like the most uncomfortable 15, 20 minutes ever. It's like, oh my God, when is this going to stop? What I'll always recommend is sit in either a position where it doesn't hurt and you can get through it, or I have the stretch where you just sit, cross your leg up over your knee, and you just relax into it. I'll show you that real quick. And sometimes that'll help just like flush blood out, and it might loosen up part of the musculature which tightened, causing you to hurt your back or blow your back up in the first place. It's a patterning issue, something that you need to work on, something that you need to be sure that you're not doing. It's also something where you need to build a little bit of tolerance. So if it is you're getting back into training, it's something that'll happen if you haven't done a bunch of flexion extension, and you can work through it, but you don't want to become that person with the huge lumbar erectors, because it just means that you've never learned how to move properly, and you're just going to get away with it, which is no good. You want to learn how to move the best you can so that you can use the driving muscles that you're supposed to use. When you're doing stuff like the kettlebell, single arm snatch, you want to keep relatively uniform body alignment. You don't want to be twisted and turning around. You want to be able to use your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads to extend and drive the object that you're moving. Basically, all in all, it's nothing to be afraid of. It sucks. It's a learning piece, but hey, my back blew up. Why? Maybe take a recording of yourself, front, back, side to side, do a couple reps and say, oh, that's why. It's because Andrew said I was twisting. You know what? I'm twisting. And maybe it's because I'm just getting into it. Maybe I just need to do a little bit more to the point where, okay, I look good, but it's still blowing up. I just need to build a little bit of tolerance, which does happen. And don't be afraid, but also be smart, because if it's really heavy and you hear a pop, don't apply any of this. That's not how that works. Cool. Everything is situational, and that's all I got. Andrew Hiller.